Black Paul, what's good, family? I had to switch over to the Billion account this week. Last week they were disrupting the We Are Africa Town account. They discontinued the first video I did, but then they also would not allow me to download it. So last week I started what I'm calling Black Erasure. We started a study group last week that's looking at the attacks on our community, specifically what's known as the Crenshaw District. It's really looking at the impacts of gentrification, but as I thought, about that, I started looking at the overall things that actually play in and help gentrification. And a few weeks before that, LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell was speaking, and she said Black Erasure. And that pretty much sums up what's happening. So this week, just to recap that real quick, we looked at what to do about it. First and foremost, identifying that it's happening here in LA, specifically from what's known as Mid-City on down through the Crenshaw District on into Inglewood, mainly North Inglewood, where the stadiums are located. The one stadium, the SoFi, is already up, but they're now building the basketball stadium. But the impact those stadiums are having on the surrounding community has led to a lot of black folks being pushed out. So what to do outside of just talking about it, posting about it, panicking? First and foremost is identify and come up with means to contest and neutralize these entities that are doing this. Again, folks who aren't really involved or as experienced in doing the work a lot of times feel that things can't be done to stop a lot of these seemingly invincible or all-powerful entities. However, both in our modern times but throughout history, we see when people come together and become determined enough, that can happen. And Malcolm X, one of the things he said he identified when he went to Africa was that it came down to people getting angry about what was happening. So again, a lot of folks are uncomfortable with what's happening right now. Some folks are pissed off, but once people become angry, that's when they're moved to take whatever means necessary to change it. So again, the first step is identifying and neutralizing these entities like Metro, USC, and even David Schwartzman, who recently just bought the mall over here in Crenshaw. Always know that they are the driving forces behind whatever's happening. From the gatekeepers who have or appear to have some type of power or authority, be it politicians, the police, others in the community who are, funded to do certain things that are identified as not being in the overall community's best interest, on down to the lower folks who are used to come out and create problems, create disruption, create chaos, misinform people, turn people against people. But ultimately, as you trace the lineage of those direct people, it's folks behind them that are financing and even directing what's happening. A lot of times people on the street level don't even understand how high up they've been influenced to do what they're doing. A lot of times they feel just the immediate person that might be in their ear is the one, not knowing there's somebody above them in their ear, and then above them in their ear, but again tracing it all the way back to the white folks who ultimately have the interest in displacing and erasing all of us. with that, it's identifying which master manipulators are behind the entities you're having problems with. Like with LAPD, a lot of times you say, policing goes all the way back to slavery. So when you could trace that, you can identify policing was initially connected to slave keepers. So then today you have to identify what are the slave keepers amongst us. Be it the large corporations. One of the things that drove us to kick Walmart out of the community was when information came out that they had financed Darren Wilson's defense after he killed Michael Brown. In addition to a number of other things we found wrong with Walmart, but once that was known, that really helped to galvanize people to get them up out of here. Educate young people on how they are used to destroy their own and communities. Educate young people on how they are used to destroy their own people and communities, but then they are disposed of. Again, with the gang situation, for years it's been a regular thing for the entertainment industry to lift up and promote these these destructive black images, but also at the same time we've seen a lot of policies that hold youngsters accountable, going back to the 90s when they had a lot of these tough on crime bills and 3-strike laws. Brothers got locked up for extreme amount of time for everything from stealing pizza, stealing a Snickers bar, stealing Pampers, stealing golf clubs. You would see cats get locked up extreme amount of times for basically bullshit. But again, on the other end, how you doing, sis? The police being allowed to murder us. Then of course stop allowing them to play us against each other. As I was saying, once it comes down to the street level, a lot of times people don't understand the influences that have been put on them, again, from the day-to-day programming. I was sharing last time, you turn on the radio, like a lot of you can turn on the radio right now, and you're almost guaranteed to hear a song that's talking about how much they hate black people. Even a lot of the mating songs today. It's not love songs anymore, it's not dating songs, but a lot of the mating songs actually, really just focus on how much they hate the opposite sex who they're having sex with, and again, ultimately bringing babies into the world. But it's about exploiting, playing each other, and doing all this wild shit. And going back to when I was young in the 90s, how they really started putting money into fratricide, putting a lot of funds into gangster music, really encouraging young people to get out and live that lifestyle. But as we're experiencing right now here in Africatown, we have it in real time where there's a lineage coming down from the council office, which works with different white entities. Council office has identified different entities within the actual community, and now those entities are finding other people to help them carry out things that will further divide the people. Let's see, and knowing that our primary objective right now is taking care of black people. We are our number one resource. Again, we've been programmed and conditioned to think it's money, 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 but right now they're showing how effectively they can cut off and limit the amount of income people are receiving. And again, that includes people who have their own businesses. A lot of folks say, I don't work for the white folks, I ain't dependent on them. But even if you have a black business, a black hustle, and you're dependent on black people, as those people who are patronizing you, as their income is cut off, gradually your income will be cut off. And we just saw that this past Black Friday, as a lot of folks didn't come out to shop on Black Friday. So a lot of businesses that anticipate on making that large sum of money on Black Friday did not receive it this year, again because of the economic manipulation that is happening to cut off the funds coming into our community. So again, saying all that to say, economic warfare, most definitely. What's up with you, sis? The goddess of vegan, LC, Black Power. But just saying that to say, knowing that ultimately people, we as black people are each other's greatest resource. You know, if you sick in the bed, you know, it's another black person ultimately that will come and potentially help you, you know, be it family, friends, whoever. So again, this idea that just having large sums of money, we good. As they are disrupting our communities more and more people ultimately find out it's our people. So, saying all that, again, the objective of this is not just about entertainment. It's not just about having a conversation, but it's actually encouraging more folks to get up, get out, and do something. And prior to that, it's possibly having groups of people that you can get out and do it with. You know, one of us, as you know, happened in the past, can get out here and fight the police, and you only have so much effect. But then, as each of us have 3 to 5 people that we can call, they come out, and now we have a stronger presence against the police. And each of those people have 3 to 5 people they can call, because again, that's what ultimately gives them the power. The LAPD has 10,000 people. So they get out here, something happens. It's not so much what that one pig themselves can do, but it's the fact that they got 9,999 other people coming. Now the flip side to that is we still have 400,000 some black folks in LA. So they got 10,000, we got 400,000. The only difference is they're organized, they're unified, and they know they got people they can rely on. So with us, it's getting us to that point. So again, that is the ultimate purpose of these presentations, again called Black Erasure, because anybody take the time to actually look it up. Black folks are being erased from LA to Harlem and even around the world right now. Again, these systems of population growth, what's up with you, bro, are in full effect right now. And again, population control is ultimately about controlling the resources and limiting the amount of people they have to deal with in their efforts to control the land and resources. So just like in LA, ultimately the Black Erasure is resulting in them coming into our communities, pushing us out of our communities, and building up these new housing developments that thousands of new people will come and reside in over the next few years if we don't get our stuff right. You know, a person shared with me last week after I did the video that there's a place up in Oakland where they actually had cleaned out a lot of black folks. They started to knock down the projects. They started to build new housing. But as white folks started moving in, the young brothers who was left started robbing them. And they got the fuck out. But now, because they had the housing built, in order for the people that made those developments, they had to start leasing at rates the black people they could afford. So again, history shows us that is always one of the most effective ways to stop this shit, to reciprocate some of the same shit they've done to us to them. Because again, when we allow it to be comfortable, when the most we're going to do is just post on social media about it, the most we're just going to complain, maybe occasionally jump on these government meetings and cuss some folks out, because now with it being on Zoom, they control and regulate who gets to speak and who don't get to speak, how long you get to speak. So we have to step beyond the parameters that they give us to deal with this shit. And guerrilla warfare, yep, most definitely. But again, it's unfortunately too few folks who are really ready to go there. So again, did you form a group? At the end of the day, you know, those are just basic initial steps. Forming a group, 3 to 5 people. Y'all can sit down different times throughout the week. Identify what's going on in your community. Trace it. You know, how I was just illustrating pretty much everything that's happening. If it's a black face at some level, ultimately you go up above and beyond them. You will find the white predators who are financing it. Those of you that did form a group, has your group identified the issues of black erasure that are happening in your community? You know, you in an area that is being gentrified, or you in an area where the rents have gone up beyond what you can afford? Are you in an area where gang violence continues to be manipulated? You know, what are the issues you are dealing with in your area? Once you identify that, identify how your group relates to the world around it. Again, too often they have programmed a lot of our folks to only address our day-to-day reality. And a lot of folks say, I ain't with that political shit, I ain't with all of that. However, all of our lives are influenced and dictated by decisions too often that are being made without us even being present. You know, when you walk into the store, the price of that food that you're buying. And again, past several months, we've constantly seen the price of food go up. The price of gas has been consistently high for about 6 months now. But once you add up all them expenses you go and pay, your money has less and less value. So with that, it's identifying how well your group recognizes this, but also raising up their consciousness on the need to have a better involvement in those decisions that are being made. Then it's connecting with other groups doing similar work. You know, once you get a core group, a core circle of folks who are conscious, who see what's happening, who are willing to commit time to get out and do shit. Another thing that we too often hear is, I ain't got time for that shit. You know, whether it's people that got a job, whether it's people that got children, but again, folks who are out here actually doing the work, many have the same shit. They got labor commitments, they got family commitments. However, it's identifying the need that you can't sit back and wait on other folks to handle the shit that gets done if you yourself are not going to commit to get it done. So, yeah, it's connecting with other groups, because then, as we always say, it's about numbers. We got power in numbers. Again, going back to the illustration with the police, they got 10,000, which makes them seem invincible, all powerful. But when we understand we got 400,000, it's just because we are disunited, don't trust. A lot of folks aren't trustworthy, and those things. But again, as you do this type of work, you gradually over time connect with and build with the folks who are trustworthy, who are committed to doing the work, who won't sell out, who will have your back. And over time, those numbers will increase. Don't complain if you're not doing nothing about it. Most definitely, that's right. Greetings to everybody that's joining us. I had to switch over to my personal page this week because last week they discontinued one of the videos, and then they wouldn't allow me to download it. But yeah. And then it's a matter of being bold about being black right now. You know, in the 60s, they told us it was about integration. And even towards the end, Dr. King realized and corrected himself and said he realized that was a mistake. He led us into a burning house. And today, they've really been pushing this multicultural shit. However, that always pushes us out. If you look in the black community, it's the only place where everybody can come, set up shop, make a profit, make a living, not give back, and then go to their community and do great. But if you fall into their community, you won't see not one black business. You won't see, you'll see very few black folks being rented or any of that shit. But again, black people, we're the only ones who constantly fall into this illusion that integration, multicultural, allowing other folks to come into our shit is the thing, and we don't see historically how that leads to other people having our shit, running off with our shit, and we be displaced somewhere else while other folks are sitting up having our shit. Dancing the drum circle, say that shit, say it loud, type it again. That's one of the main things we be talking about. You know, they allow more and more of them to come in as this community's being gentrified. Before you know it, we out of here. Vending all the above. And again, when we push that hardcore line that we're not allowing folks to come, it's our own people that turn against us. Because again, they always want to sympathize and empathize with other folks or bring other folks, because these people can pay more to come in. Again, they don't see historically this is the same insane shit we keep doing to where we lose and give up our shit, and then we have limited options, other places to go. So with that, one of the things our group identified last night was some of the terms. Right now it's finally become common for people to hear the word gentrification. Back in the day, a lot of people knew it as urban renewal, basically where the government helps to fund pushing us out of our communities, develop the spaces we were formerly in, and bring in new groups of people. And even more so, they use these terms to kind of mask the more evil reality of what it is, which is colonization. Basically, other groups of people, as they continue to do historically from when they invaded Africa, when they invaded Asia, when they invaded the Americas, basically come and take in our space. But now, because a lot of folks have been conditioned and accept, it's nothing you can do about it, this shit, it just happened, it's just part of what it is. No, it's not what it is. It's what these people keep imposing on us, because too many of us don't pay attention to it and do very little about it. But history also shows us when we wake up and become determined to stop the shit, we can stop it. Researching these people. Right now, this same shit we on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all of this, they basically profile us. The police circulate our communities, identify who's who, what's what, where we at, this, that, and the other. But now with social media, they can actually profile how we think, how we feel, with all these emotion buttons and shit. Now they're profiling and monitoring how we actually feel about stuff, in addition to how we think. Police even now have what they call predictive policing, where they can predict who's going to commit what type of crimes, and helps them either be there to prevent it or more fastly solve shit based off of profiling us. But that same shit's available for us. Part of how we've been effective in pushing back is you can find where, again, not just the gatekeepers and Negroes on the street level who are doing the bullshit, but above them, the white predators. White folks always teach us how to fight them, and you look at them vampire movies, and motherfuckers out there fighting each vampire one-on-one, but ultimately, it's getting to Dracula ass. It's getting to the head vampire and taking that motherfucker out, and that's the same shit they constantly do to us. They come after the head of our movements, the head of our organizations, take them out, and then it's another 50 years before we build ourselves back up. And again, at most, we might fight the police, we might do this, we might do that, we might cuss out a certain merchant, we might post about how corrupt certain corporations are. But again, when you actually identify that these are people who bleed just like us, who breed, who need to access food, and you start showing up to their house, you start showing up where they get their nails done, you start showing up where they shop, you start becoming a similar problem to them, they start backing up. So your group has to actually thoroughly identify, once you find out what problems you all are dealing with, find out which gatekeepers are attached to those problems, but then find out which white predators are behind those gatekeepers, and research and find out as much information as you can on those white predators. Another thing, once your group starts to become active, part of what has to happen is what's known as civic engagement, going to these different meetings where these decisions are being made. And again, a lot of times people say, I don't want to deal with that shit, they don't listen to you anyway, this, that, and the other. However, you can find out what they have planned on doing in your community anywhere from a few months to a couple years down the road. And again, we too often in a situation, Minority Report shit, yep, for sure. Too often we are left in a situation where we're reacting to shit almost where it's too late, or sometimes even after the fact, because not enough of us are going into these meetings that are usually open, and they're saying loud and clear what the fuck they plan on doing. Like this whole gentrification thing, once they really stepped it up, it's when they start having meetings about running this metro rail through Inglewood, down Crenshaw. But in addition to the metro rail, those of us that was going to the meeting saw how they were bringing in all this development, and development that we can't afford, but also how they were looking on, preying on these single family homes, basically taking out homes where folks could raise family, and pretty much putting up housing that is more dorm-like now. You know, a lot of these housing units they put up don't even have parking spaces, and too often are not where folks can raise family, because they believe they're going to bring in all these younger people who don't drive, who lift in Uber, who catch the bus, who are going to be catching the train, but ignoring the fact that the people in this community drive cars. If they can access and have the means to attain a car, most folks drive a car. A lot of folks end up having children and raise families, so this dorm shit, first and foremost, they put it to where we can't afford it, but then they put it to where it don't really accommodate the lifestyles of folks in our communities. When you start trying to engage in these meetings, they make it as impossible and as inconvenient as possible to limit and hopefully discourage your participation. You know, as I've shared numerous times, a lot of that shit is boring. You listen to folks talk and make presentations, and the shit puts you to sleep. However, again, at some point, they're sharing information that has serious impacts on us. A lot of times the police come and they tell their game plan. So again, as you try to get involved with these meetings, like right now, it's no longer where you can actually go out physically, and like say you want to go to the city council meeting. You can't go physically to it. It's all on Zoom. But even when they had it physically, they had it in the morning when they knew a lot of people were at work and it was inconvenient for people. But now they have it on Zoom, and they limit and choose who gets to speak. You know, so whatever pushback people might have about their plans and the shit they're doing, they limit it. A lot of us over the past year believe they even identify our numbers and make sure they don't call on certain ones of us. But even one neighborhood council meeting now, they cut off what's known as the chat room, basically where we as community members could exchange information that they were not allowing us the opportunity to otherwise share. So it's a lot of tricky and treachery shit involved in this. But again, we have to get more involved in that shit, because that's where they're making certain decisions. Some of the pushback we've been successful in having is simply by going to those meetings. A lot of times developers are made to give presentations in those meetings, and that's when you can find out everything you need to know about these people and let them know it's not happening. And some of their plans have been changed based off of different ones of us being present in these meetings. Some of their plans have been halted. So again, as more of us make this a more common thing amongst us, we will have more success. Part of what I was saying earlier, another thing they do to make it where young people don't even want to be involved in this is through their programming of making our youth hypersexualized and entertained with chaos and conflict. You know, most young folks would rather sit up. I don't even know if this shit still come on, but I remember one of the last shows I know everybody was watching was Basketball Wives. You know, a lot of young folks would rather sit up and watch that shit as opposed to going to a meeting where decisions are being made that will actually affect their life. So again, this is part of the responsibility. Gradually bringing young folks to those meetings, having conversations with young people about that information. And they might not be that interested at first, but again, you stay consistent with it, it will become second nature to them, just like all these other people. They pass on businesses, they pass on generational wealth by getting their young people involved at an early age. You know, by the time the dude has been cutting grass his whole life, by the time, you know, his children are 11, 12, 13, they're cutting grass. So when it's time, it's an easy transfer of giving their business over. They're not just talking about being rappers and basketball players and twerking and all of that shit. They're actually laying out a game plan that will be more sustainable for their young people. So, as I was saying, gentrification can be stopped. It's been shown in other areas. Like I was saying, someone just shared with me last week, it was a area up in Oakland where they pushed the people out, tore the projects down, and they actually put up housing. But because some of the youngsters that was left over there started robbing the white folks, they had to start accommodating the black people that was left. There's also a city in New York, a brother named Charles Barron. I believe he's like the council person. His wife is on the state level, but together they have the only district in this country where the white population has gone down and the black population has gone up. Now, unfortunately, much of the local officials in LA and our community has sold us out. You know, that then requires us to look at recalls. It requires us to organize having people to replace them. You know, in Council District 10, the council person has been suspended. They're being indicted. So very likely there may be a special election in the near future, or there could actually be a recall because people in Council District 10 don't have a voice right now. But again, right now, you go have this conversation with the average young person. This is foreign language. I might as well be speaking Taiwanese to them. But now we're at the point where we have to start getting them familiar with this, getting them involved with this, getting them thinking about it, getting them to understand the seriousness of that. But again, saying all that to say, once we make up our mind to do something, history shows we could do whatever it is. So as people saying there's nothing you could do to stop gentrification, we might not be able to at this point stop the overall effects of it, but knowing that between now and 2028 they pretty much want us out of all these areas for the Olympics. You know, that is the long-term plan. And there's the immediate plan once this train opens, like right here in Africatown. Once this train opens, once the Vision Theater opens, they already have plans for it to be a wider community. So again, is how determined we are. Are we determined to try to stop it all together? You know, shoot for the moon and then land somewhere lower? Or are we going to just look at lower tactics of just trying to, you know, stop this development or win that development, or you know, seize that property, seize this property. But again, as more people start formulating their groups start getting more familiar with different groups, and more people start showing up, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. Fuck social media. Are you going to show up in the real world? You know, that's ultimately what it comes down to. And once numbers start showing up, we can see how far people want to go with it, and that's where we'll know what effect we will have on it. One of the things that was pointed out in the meeting last night is that the numbers in and of itself are not necessarily the solution. But again, it's how informed and to what extent the people want to go. You know, just an example, a lot of our folks only get political when it's time to vote. And even then, they're told to go vote for the lesser of two evils. Go vote for the motherfucker that's going to shoot you with a gun, or go vote for the motherfucker that's going to kill you with a knife. You know, Democrats and Republicans both historically have fucked us over. Even more so the Democrats, because that's who we keep putting in positions of power over us. Everything from the current homeless crisis to the fact that the police are still killing us. You know, the Democrats are the ones funding the police. They're the ones making deals with all these developers that are pushing us out of our community. So it's to what extent are people going to get involved, and exactly what strategies are people going to be willing to incorporate. You know, a lot of times folks say we as Africatown are too extreme. However, we've been effective. So it's not saying everybody has to do what we do, but as long as it's effective. You know, a lot of times folks just say petition. Okay, in addition to that petition, what's the follow-up plan to give that petition some meat, some substance? Because the petition in and of itself, yeah, they'll see the numbers of what people want, but a lot of times all they know is they just got to wait people out, because they know a lot of folks' anger will pass in a couple of weeks, and gradually the numbers that are out there pushing back will disappear, and they'll be left with the same handful of us to deal with. So as I was speaking last week, you know, below the white predators that are financing this, they always find gatekeepers in our community. Gatekeepers could be anything from you know, politicians to national figures like Al Sharpton, to preachers, to folks who run nonprofits, any people that have influence over us, like say when police kill somebody and folks run out, they're ready to do this shit, and then one of the gatekeepers will call a rally and they'll say, no, instead of going to Beverly Hills burning some shit down, we just gonna pray and we gonna do all this old bullshit. That's basically what gatekeepers are. But the insanity of the gatekeepers is they participate in the black erasure. And as they participate in the black erasure, they're actually helping to minimize their own power and numbers. But again, Kanye said it, I think the best, but he said, these are scary, sellout ass house Negroes. So again, their insanity is based on the fact that they're scary. Their insanity is based on the fact that they're willing to sell out. They see profit more important than people. They see their personal profit more valuable than a black life. All these motherfuckers that have contributed and participated in the current homeless crisis. Well, we got is varying numbers that they throw out, but some folks say anywhere from 20,000 to 40,000 black folks out here homeless on the streets right now. And again, where they'll say, it's due to racist policies, but who actually helped carry this shit out? Black people. In 2016, when they released millions of dollars to come out here to actually address the housing issue, the majority of that money got sucked up by different black nonprofits who didn't do shit but come out here and give homeless folks a damn sandwich and some bus tokens and take their information. But very few people got housed. Even today they're talking about all they got are shelters and parking lots for people. So again, it's the immediate insanity of the black gatekeepers and others below them who will get out here because they simply see their personal profits. It's like right here in Africa Town right now. They got a street repair. I'm gonna get into that a little bit more lately, but as they have folks who are helping to accommodate this situation, it's because certain people think they will be able to remain here as this white community comes. As all the other black folks are pushed out, they believe they'll be the black folks on the block that these white people will do business with, and they'll be comfortable, but they don't see the historical reality that they ass gonna get pushed out too. So with that is also the fact that you can look in Africa how Africans fought and they won back their countries, and what the white colonizers did, they found people to then go and replace the true freedom fighters, the true revolutionaries. But what we've constantly seen since then is they keep replacing them. They'll go and take out the ones they put in office. They'll run a coup on the ones they put in office. And the whole reason is for white supremacy to have power, for white supremacy to have longevity, there can be no black stability. And another example of that is in our communities. They've put different drug dealers in power. They give them all the drugs, they give them all the guns, and as soon as they become powerful enough over a certain number of years, they keep taking them out and replacing them. So again, it's the insanity that a lot of people don't see beyond the immediate. They don't see beyond their obsessiveness to have all that superficial shit in the immediate. They don't understand that they're getting played. And some of them even say, oh, well, that's just part of the game. I'll come up, I'll stash some shit in the meantime, but I'll just go ahead and help poison the whole community, take out the community, and then when it's time, they take them out and replace them. So again, part of white power staying in power is making sure there's no black stability, whether it's taking out Michael Jackson and Prince, whether it's like they did Riley Thomas. For 30 years, he loyally helped them move forward their white agenda, but now they've indicted him. So it's the ongoing ability of them to play us, give it to certain ones who are foolish enough to think that's what it is, and then take it right back. However, there have been people who have been brilliant enough and true enough to the people that did exactly what I'm suggesting we got to start knowing how to do. is play and beat them at their game. One example is Toussaint Louverture, who for 12 years helped lead the Haitians to their independence, the only enslaved people that actually won their independence and control of their country. Reading with our sis Brandy Kane left, yep, with his stupid fat ass, that's what he get. He let himself be used, but then white power structures disposed of him. But Toussaint Louverture, so it initially started, the Haitian Revolution initially started as slave revolts, but then as they got more powerful, one of the things Toussaint was known for was being an escape artist. He would lead his groups into missions to where they would boldly challenge. There were 3 different white colonizing entities on Haiti. There were the French, it was the Spanish, and it was the British. He strategically led his people. What's up with you, bro? Led his people to successfully challenge them on multiple levels. But what ultimately happened was they joined. What's up with you? They joined the Spanish first. They joined the ranks of the Spanish, which allowed them to gain more resources. It allowed them to get more guns. It allowed them to better organize their people. But then eventually the Spanish turned on him as they saw he was becoming more powerful, and he wasn't really trying to help them push forth their agenda. But then once the French saw how well he was able to help the Spanish, the French then gave the Haitians positions within their ranks. So then they temporarily joined the ranks of the French. And while they were in the ranks of the French, Toussaint went ahead and declared himself as the governor of Haiti. And again, allowed themselves to gain more resources, gain more weapons, better organize the people while they were in the ranks of the French. But again, the French saw he wasn't trying to push forth their agenda. So eventually they, arrested him, and then Dessalines stepped up in control, and Dessalines just went on a massacre mission and just killed all the white folks. And that eventually led to all the colonizers bowing down and say, you know what, we got to give them their shit back. And, for a small amount of time, the Haitians then took control of their country. But again, they ran the same game on them. They found sellouts to replace them, and that's pretty much what they have been going through for years. Another example of that is Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. He was one of the freedom fighters in their efforts to win back their country. And he eventually got imprisoned for a while. But then as they got stronger, he was released. He was made president of their country. When he got out, a lot of folks felt the white folks had him under their control. He was even knighted. He was made a knight, by the white folks. So people was like, whoa, what the hell he doing? And folks in his country was like, yo, we got to kill these white people. We got to take back control of our farms. And he was telling them no. And initially they thought he was saying no because he was selling out. But his game plan was Nelson Mandela was locked up at the time. And he knew Nelson Mandela was the one African figure that if he got out, that could unite all of Africa. So he was basically telling folks, let's lay low. How you doing, big bro? He was telling people, let's lay low. Let's, play this game. Let's get Nelson out and then see if he can help, come out and unite the folks. So eventually it worked. Nelson got out. But unfortunately, Nelson didn't move forward the game plan that, the other African leaders had to basically seize, take control of their shit. Nelson moved forward the agenda of the white folks. But those two examples are how, when you get into position of power, if you're truly connected to and about the people, you will master that game and play it against the white folks and stop and not allow them to play you against them. So again, what we have constantly seen is the insanity of how they give cats this illusion of power, whether it be drug dealing, politics, whatever, and then basically just play them, remove them, and put somebody else in their position to make sure there's no stability in the black community. Whether it be owning land, whether it be owning businesses, the game plan is that they will not allow us to have any type of generational wealth playing the game they keep laying down for us. Right now, one of the things we have to know is group economics, a thing also known as a solidary economy. Last year, as downtown Crenshaw was fighting to buy the mall, the year before that, as they were fighting to buy the mall, they had 2 successful battles against powerful white entities. Then finally, they were sabotaged, and it was sold to a third white entity. However, with the money they raised to buy the mall, they are now helping black people who are in foreclosure retain their homes. So again, they did all of that through collective economics, through bringing people together, educating folks on community land trusts, raising the funds in an effort to buy the mall. And even though they didn't get the mall just yet, they are now helping black people who would otherwise have to give up their homes, lose their homes. In addition, they are also acquiring commercial properties in the community that we know outside entities are really trying to get their hands on. See a few more comments. Black Power was good, loved ones. Again, this is a weekly effort. I appreciate you, Brother Augustus. Not sure which one that is. Black Power. Assalamu alaikum. But this is a weekly effort to encourage people to start bringing together groups that will first and foremost study what's happening, but also put together a plan of action and get out and execute that shit, y'all. Because again, the only reason why they are continuing to do the bullshit they do is because too many of us aren't aware of what's happening. We're ignorant to what's happening. We don't got the information. Several more of us don't give a fuck. That's the unfortunate part of it. A lot of folks will sit back and watch the police beat down a black woman, pull out their phone to YouTube that shit. They'll watch their neighbors and children out here living on the damn sidewalks. However, history also shows us it's never been a complete or even a massive unity of our people that have changed our conditions. It's always been a small determined few to actually do that shit. So again, information I'm sharing, get your group together, whether it be family, friends, co-workers, whatever, and start seeing who can actually retain this information, who can actually input on formalizing a plan of action, and then who's actually going to move forward. And I guarantee you, on every level, you're going to lose some people when it's time to actually get out there and do that shit. However, you might be the only one sometimes. When I started fighting these police for years, for months, I was the only one. Then finally, Faison stepped up, Brother Manu stepped up, and my sister Brandy, that's commenting right here, stepped up all the way back to 2002, 20 years later, huh? That's what I'm saying. You will eventually find the real ones, but, it's like today, from what we did, we got people throughout the city who will respond to emergency crisis, be it the police or whatever. But again, what you see it is you need to get done. You might be the only one initially, but gradually you will find the other ones that's really about that shit and do it if you do it. If you just keep commenting on social media, making posts about it, you'll get 1,000 likes, you'll get 100 comments, but it won't get to where it's actually changing the shit that needs to be changed. So as I was saying, part of what they're doing right now is cutting off the income coming into our communities, and a lot of our businesses are hurting right now because, one, first and foremost, they're not getting the support they're getting, but also because the people in our community income is being cut off. So the people that will patronize and support them are having less ability to get out and spend money. So that's a whole nother thing. One week we probably have to just focus on that in and of itself, but that is something why we have to make an effort. Like here in Africatown, they're about to tear up the streets, and they know once they tear up the streets for 8 to 12 months, a lot of businesses will hurt because people will stop coming. Excellent point Brother Micah made last week on the post was he knows when he spends in Africatown, even if he feels some of the prices are too high, it's actually about investing in us holding on to this community. Because the next one of these shops that lose, if it gets replaced by somebody white, Then white folks come, they're immediately gonna start lobbying that shit around here changes. So again, identifying wherever you're at. Some of you might not even be in LA, but an effort has to be made to support the businesses where you at. And again, it's not just supporting that you're supporting that business. Right now, black businesses are usually the only ones hiring black people. You know, the non-black businesses in our community, that's something else we'll have to address one week. You know, just share with people how we have gotten them to hire black folks, how we've gotten them to reinvest in the community. But right now, specifically, any black businesses, black vendors you got in your community, you have to help. You know, you have to make an effort. Just like people go to church and pay tithes, you got to invest in helping your brothers and sisters sustain right now, because income is being cut off. And just some last announcements before I shut down. A sister hit me up today saying if I knew of any child court attorneys. So if any of y'all watching this know of any child court attorneys, you know, she's fighting to gain access to her children. Leave a message. Don't leave it on this live, because once I end it, it's going to erase all the comments. But go ahead and DM me if you know any child court attorneys, or if you're familiar with the process yourself. You know, maybe you could speak directly to the sister, but that is needed. Also, King Day. A lot of you heard last week that it was canceled. However, it is going forward. We just had a press conference earlier, but a group known as the Harriet Tubman Center actually got the permit to do. It can't be called a parade because all this COVID shit right now, but there will be a march and caravan that's going to take place. We got people that's signing up daily to be a part of that. So if you can, or if you want to be a part of that, come on out. But also at the end of the march caravan, what's up with you, sis? How you doing? There's going to be a rally right here in Africa Town. So, you know, if you just want to come out and be a part of that, what's up with you? Or if you want to come out and set up, come on and let us know now, because it'll probably be first come, first serve. But it is going forward. So please help us let people know it's not canceled. You know, come on out, show up. The corporate folks pulled out, the police pulled out, the military pulled out, the sheriffs pulled out, all them fake ass politicians pulled out, but the people are still putting together, and it's going to happen next Monday. The March Caravan is going to meet up on King and Western at 10, probably start coming down the street about 11, and then we'll come back to Africa Town to get everything else going around 1. And lastly, as I was saying, with these street repairs, they're telling us it's going to happen after King Day. I just met with some of the merchants about an hour and a half ago. A lot of them still don't know what's going on. They don't know exactly what day it's going to start. They have been told there are no funds available to help them. Again, let somebody disrupt your income for 8 to 12 months, and you know what's going to happen. You know, we were sharing with them, this isn't just something to repair the streets, but there's been conversations of what they were calling a 2020 vision going back to 2015. And that plan was basically to clear out a lot of what's happening in the village right now. Everything from vendors to the drum circle and cultural shit that's happening to a lot of businesses. Because again, with this train, they want to accommodate a new white community. And a lot of us that's over here doing shit that they think white people won't be comfortable with, they don't want us here. So that's something moving forward we'll probably have to adjust to weekly, monthly, however they go about the street repair. We were told they're going to start right up the street behind me by the park on 43rd Place, and then they're going to go from the street by the park, 43rd Place, they're saying that's going to be probably 2 to 3 months, and then they're going to go from 43rd Place to right here by the alley. That'll be another 2 to 3 months, and then from the alley to 43rd Street, a few more months. So, you know, periodically we'll probably have to share how you can and cannot access these businesses, but also supporting businesses online. If you can't come out, or if the traffic becomes that crazy where you can't come out, support them through their Instagram pages, the ones that got websites. But again, that's that commitment I'm saying. In order for us to keep this space, y'all, you can't just say, oh, whatever, I'm tired of it, whatever, and then at the end of this shit, everybody's gone, and you like, damn, what the fuck happened? That's fucked up. Again, when we proactively get involved, we can change that shit. We can change their plans, and like I said, we'll be here till 2028 for the motherfucking Olympics. So that's it for the most part. Again, appreciate those of you who shared the video last week. Those of you who's been commenting today. Some of you might not feel comfortable sharing the video. They come back to my page and see death to white supremacy, because that shit's real for me. But put the information in your own words. Put the information on a meme. Put it on a post. However it is you inform and entertain your following, do that. We know sometimes our shit is just too much and folks might not get it. But the bottom line is to get folks involved in doing something about it. We got 400,000 black people. I mean, based off the last time I got the information, we might be down to 390,000 black people, but we still got enough to do something, y'all. And that's the whole basis of this. So I love y'all. Come to Africa Town this Sunday. We doing what we do. Like I said, Monday we're going to be out for King Day. And the only thing missing is you. Black power.
That was powerful, Corey. You said some
Appreciate you.
enlightening things, especially about the